Hiya folks, and welcome to the review for Luton Town 1, Leeds United 1. Another really poor day at the office for Leeds United. Lack of tempo, pedestrian football, lack of chance creation in the first and the second half. Leeds managed one shot on target in the second half of that game, even with 8 minutes of injury time. To add insult to injury, Burnley came from behind to beat Coventry 2-1, and now, as things stand right now before Sheffield United kick off, Burnley are top of the table, and Leeds have dropped out of the automatic spots into third. And Leeds United's form, Leeds are 15th in the form table. We're playing Middlesbrough midweek, who are second in the form table, and Leeds right now are dropping like an absolute rock. A lot of stuff to go through in this game. The selection ahead of the game, how that worked out, what everyone was calling for, and what we saw. Willie Gnonto comes in for Brendan Aronson. Didn't really work today. I don't think an awful lot of that was Willie Gnonto's fault, though. I think an awful lot was down to how we were playing, but we definitely weren't winning the ball in the middle of the park as much as we normally do when Brendan Aronson is in there. But they're very different players, and they should be held to account for different types of things. Willie's in there to create chances and score goals. Did we really get the ball to him enough in those areas to do that? The statistics on shots on target and shots in general would suggest no, that we didn't. Same with Joel Piroe. No point in having a striker if you're not going to feed him and give him great chances for him. And we didn't do that. The back end of the game, Manor Solomon misses a gilt-edged chance. And we'll talk about Manor Solomon because personally for me today, I thought he was a passenger in the game and probably should have come off a lot earlier than he actually did. Carl Darlow started in goal in place of Ilan Meslier, and for me, had a very decent game. Makes one very, very good save from Morris's shot in the second half, down low, and when the balls came in to be caught, he caught them quite well and was pretty calm and relaxed about that. I thought he was a calming influence across the back. Even though some of the back passes we gave him at times were all left a little bit short, he still managed to deal with them. And it's great to see a goalkeeper coming and catching a ball from a corner and just calming everybody down. Overall though, in the first half when Leeds went behind, it felt like Luton Town had more of the game. Possession in the first half suggested Leeds had 70% of it, but that's what statistics versus the actual eye test will tell you. When you watch that game, Leeds had a lot of the ball, but all inside their own half, and did very little to create any gilt-edged chances to score some goals. Leeds did get back into the game and did equalise through Dan James. A lovely bit of footwork from him to come inside into his left foot. He likes that, checking in off the right and bending towards the back left post. And he does that really well and scores a lovely goal, but Leeds didn't push on at all in that. Couple of the big things that stood out for me was the tempo. I know I talk about the tempo an awful lot, but it was a real pedestrian game by Leeds. It was really slow and it allowed Luton to get in behind. There was no real drive for me from Leeds to get into that, and even when the changes came, it was all still a bit mishmashy, a bit of long ball, a bit of passing around the back, but really no shape, style or momentum to anything that Leeds were doing in the game. And it showed. Leeds created, as I said, only one goal scoring chance in the second half. A really good shot from Pat Bamford that keeper does well, hits it first time, trying to catch the keeper out. Dan James has one over the bar, but he's offside for that. And then Isaac Schmidt has a shot just taken off his foot by the defender Makosso just before he has his strike taken away. It's a really good defensive block. You got to give the defender credit there. But Manor Solomon for me is an issue, and we need to talk about one goal contribution in his last 10 games. And for me was really poor in this game, gave the ball away an awful lot. And for the very first goal that Luton Town scored, if you watch the replay from behind the goal scorer is standing beside Manor Solomon as they win the ball back on the edge of their box, and he doesn't track the runner at all as he runs the full length of the pitch to tap in free at the back post, and no sign of Manor Solomon anywhere. Second half, again I thought the same thing, giving the ball away, giving away silly free kicks, getting a silly yellow card, and the changes probably should have been made a lot earlier than they were. I think Farkell leaves them too late. Strange one bringing on Pat Bamford so early in the game, considering he's been out for so long. Probably to win more balls in the air, but that didn't happen. McGuinness dominated every ball that Leeds put forward, and Leeds went quite direct in this game as well, more often than they usually do, with huge balls forward that they just weren't winning the first ball. And then the big problem in the second half kicked in for me. Leeds weren't winning the second ball at all. There was a huge amount of space in the middle of the park, which is unusual for Leeds, especially when you've got Tanaka and Ampadu in there. And as we've seen before, Tanaka and Ampadu don't really click that well, and it took a long time before we start seeing Tanaka pushing over the halfway line and getting into more advanced areas. On the flip side, I thought Ethan Ampadu had a very, very good game today. A lot of hard-hitting tackles, some lovely passes, trying to find players with sneaky little balls around the outside, but unfortunately, ultimately wasn't enough in the game to give Leeds anything. But I think there's an issue with Manor Solomon on the left-hand side that could have been addressed coming into this game. But what is Largi Ramazani showing in training that he can't get into the team ahead of Manor Solomon, who's been putting in some pretty average performances in recent weeks. The changes, as I say, they came and they didn't really work. Brendan Aronson came in, but Leeds didn't get the ball on the ground and didn't get forward to them quickly enough or often enough. Pat Bamford tried to link up with a number 10 who wasn't there when the ball was played in for little knockdowns or chest backs. We weren't close enough to Bamford in those areas. So yeah, changes didn't really work for me. Isaac Schmidt coming on in left wing instead of Largi Ramazani. Again, a strange one. We want to see Isaac Schmidt playing. But in this game, when he did get the ball, it bounced off him quite a lot. Lost possession, gave away throw-ins. But again, the subs coming on very late in the game and asking them to have an impact and show a lot. In a game that Leeds just really didn't show anything in for most of that game. You can look at the possession stats. Leeds at 66% of the possession. But how much of that was in the opposition half and how much of that was between the same lines we hear ourselves saying during the game? Strauch to Rodon, Rodon to Bogle, Bogle to Ampadu, back to Rodon, back to Strauch, and that continues for most of the first and second half. Lack of movement off the ball as well was an issue for me as well. Not enough players showing for it. Not enough players wanting to get on the ball and try and take this game by the scruff of the neck and go and push forward. Stuart Dallas said it during the week. Leeds would need to battle to win this game and they won't be able to play their way through it. And when it came to the battle, Leeds lost a lot of duels in that game and didn't win the second ball, so weren't really up for the battle. And all that comes back to one big topic. What do Leeds do now from this situation? A draw away from home wouldn't be a bad result had Leeds picked up 3 points against Swansea, but they didn't. And they now need to rectify that with an away win. They go away to Middlesbrough midweek, who are in good form right now and have beaten Leeds once this season already in the Cup earlier on this year. And Leeds will need to go and get a win now. There is huge pressure on this Leeds United side. Daniel Farke's comment of him being 100% confident last week that Leeds will be in the Premier League next season, even if it wasn't through the automatics, didn't land well with the fan base and has aged like cheese so far this week. And it might all change. Leeds may go out and get a good result against Middlesbrough, Burnley and Sheffield United and have to play each other. Maybe that flips the whole thing on its head. But if you look at the momentum right now, it is not with Leeds United, and we're showing similar form from last season that showed us win 6 games in our last 11 last season and saw us fall away from the top of the division before the international break into 3rd place. This season, we've gone into the international break top again and are now sitting in 3rd place, and the goal difference between us and Burnley is getting narrower and narrower by the day. There's a lot to be concerned about. There's a lot to be worried about. Daniel Farke needs to regroup this side, needs to come up with something, but that Leeds team today didn't show me anything that would suggest that this team is pushing headlong to try and get promotion. I don't blame the players. I blame a lot of the style of play today. Another off day, and Daniel Farke has some serious questions and some serious answers to try and find as well around what this Leeds United side will do coming in to the remaining 6 matches when the whole season now is going game to game. Leeds game against Middlesbrough now looks like a must win, and depending on what Sheffield United do today, that will tell us what we're going to be come the end of this season. Coming into Ellen Road on the back of potentially poor results won't help the players in any way, shape or form, but they've got to regroup, they've got to push forward. It's not over yet, but it's no longer in our hands, unfortunately, for the automatics. We've got to go out and try and win every single game between now and the end of the season. Form guide would suggest that that's not going to happen. Hopefully it has a flip reverse to what we saw when Leeds were going through that really strong run and it didn't look like Leeds were going to drop any more points, and then they did. So let's hope that flips his way back around and Leeds can find some tempo and momentum going into the last 6 games. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be a lot of hard work, and again, another day where we're talking about an average pedestrian performance by Leeds United in a game where they really needed to win, and Leeds have struggled against the sides in the bottom half of the table this year. That's been a big problem for Leeds. But as we say, it finishes up. Leeds United 1, Luton Town 1, Leeds into 3rd place in the league table with a lot of work to do between now and the end of the season if they are to get promoted out of this division. And right now, it's not in Leeds United hands. They have to hope for some favours and then start picking up some much needed wins rapidly. Folks, we leave it there. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. Back on Monday for the news. It's going to be a tough couple of days and weeks, but we'll see how we go for the Middlesbrough game. Talk to you soon. Thanks for supporting the channel, and I'll see you soon. Bye.